many days do you think is contained in this one book? That's one day. This is one day of federal regulations. This is what they publish every day of your lives. Every day, this is what our federal government is doing. Now, we review this, actually, Corey reviews this every day, and she looks for any activities that affect water or natural resources in the state of Wyoming. And we have a woman down here in Colorado that does the same thing down here. And we notify our members every single day of every activity that affects water and natural resources in the state of Wyoming or in the state of Colorado. And the reason we are doing this is because the only way you guys are ever going to be where I would say the environmental groups have been for the last 40 years. The only way we're ever going to fight back on this is through knowledge and participation. And so what we do is, this is not part of our law firm, this is a completely separate entity that we have put together for this, but what we are trying to do is get people, we are compiling all the information, if you will, so that we can share it with folks like you and other organizations. Where we've been really successful is our counties. And I was asked today whether we have been able to push back on any particular regulatory item. Where I see our effectiveness has been is that our counties have become much more powerful in terms of cooperating agency status. So when we're doing our resource management plans and things like that in the state of Wyoming, our counties are very actively participating in those regulatory processes. So that when issues affect the economics or the social issues within those communities, whether it has to do with forest management or any of those things, our counties can participate and make sure that their voices are heard, so that our voices can be heard. Now, there are a couple of other things that I want to tell you about today. One of them is that during the course of the roadless rule, and I know that this has really affected your state, how many of you are ranchers in the mountains, or how many of you are dealing with Forest Service lands right now? You are. Several of you are. What do the forests look like? Pretty tough? Pretty red?
Dead.
The forests, one of the things that happened that came out during the course of the roadless rule that we learned it through two GAO reports that were done in the late 1990s. How many of you were aware of the blowdown in the Route National Forest in 1997? Do you remember hearing about that? There was between 13 and 14,000 acres were blown down in the Route National Forest in one night in 1997. And because it was in a wilderness area surrounded by a roadless area, the Forest Service would not allow anybody initially to go in and address that situation. When they were looking at adopting the roadless rule, most of the local foresters were very, very, very opposed to the roadless rule because they said it was a one-size-fits-all approach from Washington, D.C. And they said that that is just simply not how you can manage the national forests in this country because there's just too much variability. What's going to work in Connecticut is not going to work in Colorado, and what's going to work in Nevada is not going to work in New Mexico. And so the local foresters were very opposed to the roadless rule. But one of the things that came out was that there were two GAO studies that were done about that blowdown in the Route National Forest. One was done in 1999 and one was done in the year 2000. And at that time, they disclosed the fact that if they were unable to go in and clean up that blowdown area, we were going to have a catastrophe with the pine beetle. And a lot of people don't realize that was ground zero. They do not know that it was our Forest Service that unleashed that catastrophe that was destroying the Route National Forest, the Medicine Bow National Forest, the Shoshone National Forest, all of those areas. Where that came in was the blowdown in the Route National Forest. And I don't know if any of you have been up to Yellowstone National Park lately, but it's been devastated as well. But people won't talk about it. What we hear is global warming, climate change. We hear all kinds of things, but we don't hear the truth. And that's where I will sum up my comments, is radical environmentalism is destroying our environment. We have got to stop what they are doing. We have got to be fighting back because they are truly destroying our environment. We need help from people like you. We need you to participate in this federal regulatory process. We need you to be contacting your congressional leaders, because you want to know something strange? Most of your congressional leaders don't even know much about this. They don't have this information. These things come to their office. I'm a good friend with Cynthia Lummis. She's our representative. These come to their office and they throw them away. Every single day, the Federal Register is delivered to our congressional representatives and they throw them in the recycle bin. They don't know what is going on. They've got a better idea now than they did a year ago. But even they don't know what is going on with our federal agencies and our state agencies as well. But primarily our federal agencies. But the message that I am trying to get out there is that truly radical environmentalism is destroying our environment. It's destroying our national forests, and it's destroying our ability to make a living. It's destroying our ability to grow food. It's destroying our ability to continue as a society in terms of being able to move into not only protecting this generation, but the generations to come. Now, I know sometimes when I come and speak about these things, I'm kind of depressing. And I apologize if I'm depressing. I apologize if I don't bring the most upbeat message that I put out there. But I will leave you with one thing. People are waking up. When Kara and I started this business in 2004, people kind of looked at us like we had three heads. You know, why do you girls want to spend your time reading the Federal Register? Why do you want to do this? People are waking up, and the fact is that knowledge really is power. We are getting people who are understanding the impact that these things have on us, and they're understanding what it's doing to our economy, and I think that they're becoming much more engaged, and they're asking for some accountability from the government. Think about it. I don't think 2 years ago you would have had a debate in Congress about cutting. Now the debate is about cutting. We're getting somewhere. We have a long way to go, and I really do need you guys to participate. You are the backbone of this country. We need you to participate. We need you to be actively involved, because you're the ones who protect your communities, your schools, and our society as a whole. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.